listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello, welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. How's everybody doing on this fantastic Friday? Hey family, how's your weekend go? I know everybody's kicking it right about now. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. I wanted to just try to get interpersonal with you. Just kind of slightly change it up a little bit. So wow, what a wild week we've been having. I got some stuff to talk about, and about to dive on into the content. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people positivity. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive self-images or positive reinforcements of original people and original people culture. The Narrative Podcast provides positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast, and I am your host, Halsey Allen. All right, so how's everybody doing tonight? This is a super late upload. How I usually start these things off is I walk you through, give you a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast, all my nuances that you need to know about it, so you can be up to speed on all the content that I'm going to present. But yeah, so I'm gonna cut that short this evening. Super late episode. I will tell you my mission statement, though. At least I'll say that. Say a couple things before diving into the content. My mission statement basically is to encourage the listening audience to share positive content, bring awareness to the listening audience why it's important to share positive content about our people and our culture, and and try to encourage the listening audience to share positive content, utilize their platforms to share positive content about our people and our culture. So the reason why I created this platform basically is to counter the media's negative, inaccurate depiction of our people and our culture. They intentionally misrepresent our people to push their agenda, and so what I want to do is design a platform where I'm uplifting and edifying our people by providing positive frames of reference. And matter of fact, that's my tagline, the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames about our people and our culture. And that's why I'm doing this podcast, is to bring positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, because the media only supplies negative frames of reference about our people and our culture. They just basically show all these black tropes, negative stigmas and stereotypes, and try to associate our people with all these negative stereotypes and stigmas, and try to stigmatize us as a people. So I want to create a positive space to empower us, uplift us, and basically put out positive energy and deliver positive reinforcement to all those doing right in our community, because they always want to show us down bad, disenfranchised, living in violence, being violent and hateful towards each other and committing criminal acts against everybody outside of our community. So, this podcast is just basically to put it all into perspective and to put out the correct frames of reference about our people and our culture. We should always get depicted from the space of our true nature. What is our true nature? Our true nature is kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. So, that's how we should always be depicted in all media. In music, in books, in television shows, magazines, advertisements. We should always, be depicted with high morals, high values. It's just the opposite of the way the media portrays us. So that's why I created the Narrator podcast. But like I said, I'm going to try to keep it short tonight. Because I just did an upload on Wednesday, pardon me. I was going to do one yesterday. I don't really like doing, I really don't like doing them back to back. My goal is to do 3 a week, because I want to make my presence more pronounced during the weekday. But it's kind of hard. I got all kinds of stuff going on. Life's lifing, and I gotta say I don't like doing uploads back to back. So yeah, that's why I didn't do it yesterday. But I try to keep it brief, sweet, and to the point. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast, and I want to accommodate everybody. I don't want to leave anyone out. I accommodate all intellect levels, and I want to include everyone, and also inform and entertain at the same time. So we have a good time on here, and the assignment is just basically to make us put out content to make us feel good about us, and to encourage everybody else, all my other listeners. A few of my listeners are content creators themselves, so I'm pleading with them to utilize their platforms to put out positive content about our people and our culture. It's not to worry about what people outside of our culture think about us. This is just basically, like I said, to put it into perspective. If you're going to give them frames of reference, give them the right frames of reference. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to get too long-winded, because this super late upload. It's almost midnight where I'm at, so I'm going to dive right on into the content this evening. So like I said, I deliver positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. I have 2 format styles, a weekday format style and a weekend format style. Now the weekend differs from the weekday. It has more sections. But on the weekday, I basically, the positive frames of reference that I give out is basically positive news articles. And then I also commentate on current events, whether it be globally, nationally, or things that happen in our neighborhood, in our community. And the purpose of me doing that is to control the narrative, because the media have us looking and sounding, ignorant and crazy. So, so whatever's happening in the world, I break it down from our perspective. To counter the media's negative depiction of us. So without any further ado, I'm going to get into these positive news articles this evening on this weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast, and then I'm going to follow it up with some commentary on a couple things happening within, the world, specifically within our community. So, first positive news article of this weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast, the headline reads, Black woman from New York City, previously incarcerated, passes the bar exam on her first try. And the sister's name is Africa Owens. And that's Africa with a K. Yep. So, as the headline, the story goes, she was facing 25 years to life. She was actively involved in the gang, and she did some other committed some other crimes as well. It didn't list specifically what crimes, but the headline, just the article just said it was gang involvement. So she must have been actively involved with a gang, and they probably, did a drive-by or something. But she was only incarcerated for about 6 months before she got her, deal overturned or whatever. I'm guessing she made like a trustee when she got in, and probably from there got a jailhouse lawyer. Because, half the time when people get locked up, they be locked up on trumped up charges and, civil rights and all that violated. But she got out due to a technicality. She was inspired to change her life around because her mother was somewhat of a social advocate in her neighborhood, and then she passed away, and of course she wanted to do right by her mother. The article did not say what inspired her to study law, but reading in between the lines, I'm seeing it was probably her own case, looking at her life and seeing that she was incarcerated, like she probably deserved to be in the jail, but not according to what the law says. And a whole lot of other girls locked up in there probably didn't deserve to be locked up in there either. So that's probably what inspired her to become an attorney. But anyway, her story went viral on TikTok. She was reading her bar exam on a TikTok live stream, and it went viral. So, I haven't been keeping up with the story. I don't know if she actually, has her own practice or she's at a practice, a firm now. But she passed her bar exam on the first try, which is very difficult to do. So, you really got to want that, buckle down, study, and really have to want it. So, her story was featured on Good Morning America. Shout out Good Morning America. That's one of the few media platforms where you can see positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. That doesn't, play up the negative stigmas and the stereotypes about our people and our culture. And, it's unfortunate that there isn't more mainstream media that does. But yeah, the reason why the media does that is basically like psychological programming and conditioning, psychological warfare in reality. But it is what it is. That's why I exist, to counter that negative influence. But yeah, that's that sister story in a nutshell. She was on the path to destruction. She definitely would have, had she carried on with that trajectory in life, she most certainly would have destroyed herself and destroyed a whole lot of other people. But we're all worthy of redemption, and it's never too late to change. No matter what you feel like you're going through, like there's someone somewhere going through something worse, and they found the strength to make that change, so we can all change. And that's why I shared that story. It's just basically like a heartwarming tale that it's never too late. So join me in giving this sister a warm narrative podcast round of applause for her drastic lifestyle change, and her resilience, tenacity, and willingness to want to change. All right. Next article, the headline reads, Black educator of 22 years launches diversity book fair for children of color. That's the headline. I really, really hate that phrase, of color, but on this platform I try to refer to our people as original people. I don't like saying black because we're not black. Black is a color, not a nationality. There's no country called black. Like the very dark complected people, our very dark complected brothers and sisters are not black. They're just dark. So dark they even have like a bluish purple hue to them, some of them, but they're not black. But anyway, on with the story. The sister's name is Valerie J. Lewis Coleman. This is kind of an old article, so I'm saying everything in past tense in the article. It listed, the date presently, but it came across my radar, just a couple of days ago. So recently she hosted a book fair titled When I See Me. It was on pardon me. Yeah, it's just called When I See Me. Basically, it's a black, indigenous, people of color event, BIPOC event. I'm not too thrilled with that either, but it is what it is. I guess it's just like our people, original people, and then native, so-called Native Americans, and Spanish people. An event for like an inclusion event. But very still uplifting and motivational. And this event was in Dayton, Ohio, and it was on July 27th. The event was sponsored by Chick-fil-A. There were 17 authors on hand. They also had interactive activities for all participants. They had author signings and a panel discussion of the books, of the literature that was presented. And all the literature that was presented was by child authors. And the books, the types of books that they gave away was just basically like, books to represent each, ethnicity and background. So like for our community, Negro, Black, whatever you want to call it, I refer to our people as original people. So original people in Spanish and in Middle Eastern and so on and so forth. Those are the type of books that were on hand at the event. They also had a lot of free food and free book supplies, and it was a good old time. And now the sister herself, she's an author herself as well as being an educator. She wrote a book called "Oh, the Things I See When Oh, the Things I Can Be When I See Me," which is basically like a book about, basically what I'm doing here on this podcast. A book about providing positive frames of reference. So that's, a journey when you have role models and things where you see yourself in, because we don't have a lot of positive things we see ourselves in, and that's kind of the media's job to do that. That's kind of a result of the media doing that, because when we turn on the television, it's just somebody selling drugs, doing drugs, selling drugs, engaging in like gang banging, something criminalistic, something amoral. On the female side of it, it's like twerking and behaving unladylike and cussing up a storm, having an attitude, being the stereotypical angry black woman. So like I said, they do that as a form of psychological warfare. They want us to see these negative images of ourselves so that we will kind of act it out on a subconscious level. So it's not, it's not by design. They're doing that intentionally. So that's why we need positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, preferably at that stage of learning. So the seed gets sown, that we see what we can be. When I see people, my people, triumphing in the face of adversity, being pillars of the community, doing positive things, being impactful, being progressive. But anyway, that's how that event went. It was just an event where they just had a whole lot of positive frames of reference, and they had some empowering literature for the youth on hand. And if you want to know more about Valerie J. Lewis, you can go to info@penofthewriter.com or call 888-802-1802. All right. Oh, yeah, and give her a warm narrative podcast round of applause for her event that she threw and impacting the youth in a positive way. All right, and I just got a couple more for you. Next article on this weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast, the headline reads, 12-year-old Zoe Ali makes history as the youngest CEO to launch toy brand at Target. And she is the CEO of a toy brand called Curly Me. It's a plush dolls that empower girls to love their own natural hair. So yeah. She basically invented the doll because reading in between the lines, she goes to a predominantly white school, and she wanted to know why she was the only one, in her class that had that texture style of hair. If she did have other sisters in her class, they all had chemical relaxers or pressed out. She was wearing her mother was her mother was giving her a natural hairstyle. She wasn't using any product in her hair. And within our community, natural hair, that's a stigma. They say, pressed or relaxed, or if you got wavy or curly hair, and we do, just like we got all types of flesh tones in our community, we got all hair types in our community. So the really coarse, thick stuff, they say is bad nappy hair, and the ultra fine grade of hair, the curly stuff, the wavy stuff, that's air quotes good hair. Every time I hear that hair argument, I kind of flash back. Who remembers that Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing, when they had their musical number at the hair salon? It was Team Light Skin versus Team Light Skin versus Team Dark Skin, the natural sisters versus the sisters that was, had the air quotes good hair. That the song lyrics, you ain't nothing but a chigaboo. But I think Spike Lee's sister was in it, and then on the light skin side of it, it was Jasmine Guy and Tisha Campbell. But that was a very impactful movie, but it just made me flash when I read this article. It made me flash on that scene in that movie, because that's something that our sisters kind of struggle with, their hair, But anyway, this young lady, she developed, her and her mother, they was going online trying to find dolls that had natural hair, and of course they could not, and thus they created their own doll with natural hair. And if you want to see the types of dolls that they have, go to beautifulcurlyme.com, and when you go to the site, they also have other things. They have STEM activities for the young ladies, as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics exercises for them on the site. as well as other interactive things to broaden their horizons, enhance their cognitive skills, and embrace their natural beauty, their natural hair. So go check that out, beautifulcurlyme.com, and give a Warm Narrative Podcast round of applause for our beautiful and talented young sister, Zoe Ali. All right. Very last article of this evening, soon to be morning. The headline reads, 15-year-old prodigy from Texas makes history as youngest African American junior golf champion. And the young sister's name is Shyla Brown of McKinney, Texas. She was selected to compete in the Southwestern Airlines Showcase at Cedar Crest. She also secured a spot on the 2023 Junior Golf All-Star team. So like I said, some of these articles are really old, but it's new to me when they pop up in my feed. I follow a lot of stuff from our community, and I subscribe to it, and just when I see something really motivational and inspirational, I screenshot it and write bulleted points and then share it back on my platform in hopes of the listening audience using their platforms to share positive content, and just that's my overall message that I'm trying to convey here on the Narrative Podcast. We need to, that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators, because we're living in a digital information stage, or digital information age, and we need to be telling or narrating our own stories. If history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. Case in point, what's going on in the media? They're telling our own story for us. They're criminalizing men in our community. They're making us out to be the biggest criminals ever, biggest threats ever, gangbangers ever, low-life degenerates ever. And then on the female end of it, they're making our women appear to be the messiest, drama-filled drama queens ever. But anyway, this young lady did a tremendous feat at that early of an age, and she's shaking up the golf industry, and her parents are original on both sides, not just one. So there's getting some diversity in that particular sport. I try to stay away from sports because I don't want to play up the negative stereotype. That's all we know how to do is play sports and entertain. But that was a pretty dynamic feat, for a young lady in this time and age to be interested in a sport like golf. That's just, it's really kind of not heard of. So that's why I shared that one. But anyway, let's put them together for our young sister, Shyla Brown. All right, so now on to the my current event section. I call it my speaking points. I got 2 stories that I want to briefly kind of, talk about this evening before wrapping it up. So there's been a new development in the Dante Mitchell case, and for those that don't know or have forgotten who that is, this was a brother who was unalived at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Milwaukee. So what happened was, allegedly, security caught him in the woman's bathroom. They escorted him out of the hotel. Then all pretty much dogpiled on him, subdued him, and they had him just basically like pinned down, like like Jesus was on the cross. They had him they had his legs. They had 2 or 3 security guards on his legs. They had 2 or 3 security guards on his arm, and they had one punching him in the face and choking him. So he's on the ground. They got him on his back, hands and legs, incapacitated. He can't move, he can't run. Instead of calling the police, they took it into their own hands to do what they did, and he ended up, by the time the paramedics came, he was pretty much DOA when they pulled up. There was no life in his body. He was beaten and strangled to death. So that's the new update in that case is, the official coroner's report has come out, released. The family's released, the coroner report. And it says he died from asphyxiation, which is basically fancy talk for getting strangled. And then they also, of course, they want to throw in cocaine and methamphetamines in the system. Now, the family said he had severe mental health issues. So that's what they said. If in fact, if he even was in the woman's restroom, that's what that was about. He was having a mental health crisis, as I'm guessing he's done that before. But when I covered the first time, no women from that hotel has come forward and said they witnessed him in the bathroom or leaving the woman's restroom. But to any event, they didn't have any business doing that. They should have just called the police. I mean, the brother was a little bit over 6 feet tall and definitely over 200 pounds for sure. He wasn't a small man, and they was intimidated by him, and they did what they did. Because he wasn't acting weird. When they released the video footage, they got him down on the ground. So the story goes, they ejected him from the hotel. They ejected him from the hotel. He's out in front of the hotel. He's waiting on his ride. Because they're like, go. It's like, if you're waiting on your ride to get up out of there, you can't, you know what I mean? They don't know if he's even from Milwaukee. He might not been from Milwaukee. It's late night, 1, 2, 3 in the morning. I don't know. It's sad, I know that. It's like, damn. Why are they so afraid of this? And so, like, the worst thing of it was a brother on hand. He went along with it. He already gave his apology, like his testimony. He witnessed all the other security guards. He wasn't even a security guard. He was a bellhop. And they made him, like, hold his feet down. So he was at the bottom holding the brother's feet down. The brother's on his back. He was holding his feet down, or one leg down. And then somebody, I think he was on his left leg, and somebody was on his right leg. And then somebody was on his right arm and left arm. And then there was a guy sitting on his torso. And then somebody was punching him in the face while he's, like, on his back. So he was pretty much like nailed down like a cross, like, but except he's on his back. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. So Ben Crump, I believe, is heading that case, and I kind of been slacking off on ending my segments, about Mr. Mitchell, but we need to keep his name circulating so justice can get, administered quicker. Because if we don't talk about stuff like that, if we don't make an uproar about stuff like that, cases like that will slip through the cracks. With a high profile attorney like Ben Crump, he's going to get something, but he can get even more if the entire community is behind him. So I'm urging everybody listening to my podcast, use your platforms and mediums to, blow this story up. So to cause, attention, cause more attention to it. And we gotta just keep on applying pressure when we hear stories like that, when they're, abusing us like that. So the next story happened in LA. It was a brother by the name Alexander Mitchell. And a police officer basically socked him in the face while he was handcuffed. So allegedly, what happened was he was sitting in his car. His car's in front of his house. Like, it's his block. He lives on that block where that took place. So he's just sitting in his car, listening to his music. Police come up, they tap on his window, they say, "Hey, get out the car, you're double parked." He's like, "What?" They're like, "Get out the car." So, like, apprehensive like anybody. Like, why do I gotta get out the car if I'm double parked? He didn't refuse to move his vehicle. He just wanted to know why they was approaching him, which is your, right to know. That's well within your rights. They have to tell you, why they're stopping you, why they're detaining you. So nothing in the law says get out the car if you're just double parked. If you're just double parked, park your car where you're supposed to. You don't need to exit your vehicle. They can just point to where, they want you to park your car. So he's like, "No, I'm not getting out of my car. And you don't have to." So the only thing I can say he did wrong was he didn't ask for the supervisor. So when the police stop you and you don't agree with their commands, or you don't feel like the officer that's approaching you is doing their job properly, you can say, Matt, you can request to see a supervisor, and they're supposed to accommodate your request. Now, a lot of them, they'll lie and say they are the supervisor. You're supposed to be able to ask them for, the supervisor, name, badge, what's your name, what's your badge number, why am I being stopped, why am I being detained. But then also they said you're supposed to just comply. So, either way, they didn't have no right to make him exit out the vehicle. He refused to exit the vehicle. They reached in and tried to drag him out. And this brother's big. So these cowardly police. He's like about 6'4". He's a bigger, what they call us, the N-word hard R. So he's a bigger N-word hard R. This brother's big now. He looked like he might have played, could play basketball, or he played some type of high school sport. He could easily be like a football, a lineman. He looked like a linebacker. He could be like a linebacker, or maybe like a point guard if he played basketball. But the brother's he's big. So he gets out of his car. So said all that to say it wasn't going to be you just going to ragdoll him. You wasn't ragdolling him. That guy was huge. So the silver lining is at least they didn't, tase him or shoot him. Because they're known for, shooting people in that part of California. So they got it on camera, cell phone camera, police body cam, a few local news outlets. The news outlet that I seen when I pulled it up on the tube to try to say he was resisting it. When they uploaded, they try to do a comparison from the cell phone, and he still wasn't resisting. He was just asking them, why am I being detained? And they was trying to be all rough with him. And then they was stop resisting. And I'm like, why am I being detained though? Stop resisting. And so at some point he did stop resisting. They got when they got both hands, soon as they got both hands handcuffed, he takes off on him. One police officer, bam, in his jaw. He hit him hard too, because you can hear it on the cell phone, the footage, you can hear it cat. So he tried to knock Buddy out, but he couldn't, because he was too big, but it was enough to make him be bite his bottom lip, because he was about to call him out his name. He was about to be But I just don't see how people can, how the stories differ. There's a few more news channels. That news channel, it was I think it was 7 in LA. They tried to say he was resisting. But then 5, Action News 5 in Los Angeles, they said, there was more lenient towards the family side of it and the local neighborhood activist side of it. So I'm not familiar with those news stations in California, but 7, y'all trash, man. Action 7, y'all trash. Y'all tried to say he was resisting. But anyway, like I said, if you listen to the Narrator podcast, the upload I did on Thursday, it has begun. I just said that, like, we're going to see an influx in violence. We're going to see a whole lot of us, catching the bad end of business from police, Karens and Kens, all centered around this election. So there is an agenda in place. So, word of caution, like, make sure when you leave your home, you have your cellular phone on you and it's fully charged. When you're in residential areas, make sure you're going in a place where there's a lot of people. Don't try to be, out on the streets by yourself. Try to stay on well-lit streets. Try to avoid back roads, because from now to, this election, it's open season on this. Definitely know your rights, but then, original men, original women, we're connected with nature. So we know when we get put in that life or death situation where we know we done complied and we feel they're going to do what they're going to do, at that point, you got to make the decision. You going to let them do you, or, hey, I'm not advocating violence, but when they got their mind made up, And the saddest thing about that story is it was a brother on the scene, the rookie cop, the brother. He had a flat top in the video. He said nothing, he did nothing. We got to break up this brotherhood of the badge crap. Because I don't see how our people can get sucked into that brotherhood of the badge. They don't get paid nothing. Man, screw that job. You see them sitting up here about to brutalize one of your brothers or sisters. What you think they, man, screw that job at that point. I mean, that's why you got into law enforcement, to make a change. How they gonna make you be the problem? Well, that's it and that's all. This has been another weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast. Join me this weekend, a few hours from now, for a full episode of the weekend edition of the Narrator Podcast. To stay up with my most recent uploads of the Narrator Podcast, follow me on YouTube, Halsey Allen on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification button, notification all, as well as Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter. And the reason why you want to follow me on YouTube and X, because this platform that I'm broadcasting on automatically uploads to both of those mediums. So that's the best way to stay informed, to be in the know of, my latest episode of the Narrative Podcast. So support the channel, support the content. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast wherever you get your podcast information from. Also, when you click on the link, click that little heart-shaped like button. Leave me a comment in the comment section. And then share. When you see the link, share it on, all digital platforms. But the thing that helps me out the best is the the download button, the little arrow pointing down. Click that button. And the best way to do all those options is X. You can follow me on YouTube, but like X will take you right to the link, and you can see the little download button, the heart-shaped like button in the comment box. My next project I want to plug is my book titled The Black Card. I've written a 30-page book of poetry, and what The Black Card is about, it's an all-encompassing look at us as a people, like the whole entire air quotes black experience, positive and negative, everything we go through as a people, all the nuances within our culture, essentially like a Bible or, a survival guide. So, they're really insightful, witty poems. You're guaranteed to connect with them if you're an original man or an original woman. It'll hit every single last one of them. It hit home. You can identify with what I'm saying in those poems immediately. People outside of our culture, they can grow to love those poems too, if they consider themselves open-minded or progressive. It's a great learning tool for different cultures. It'll make a good coffee table read, a gift, a relaxation book. You can sit in the tub and read it. You can, get in the zone, be in the house and just get in the zone, reading those little poems. But whatever you do, check it out. Right now it's only available on one medium, and it's called poetizer.com. And if you're unfamiliar with Poetizer is a community for novice writers, people that really haven't reached the professional level yet. And what they have is a feature that will allow people in that community to turn their work into a book. They have a virtual online bookstore, and that's where my book is, The Black Card. It's on Poetizers.com's virtual online bookstore. So go to Poetizer.com, visit the bookstore, type in my title, The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen. Purchase it today, or get your black card revoked. Last but not least, I want to promote my personal poetry blog on blogger.com. It's called Hallzies Poetry Corner, and what that is, it's basically a collection of all my poems that I've written. I've been writing, I think I started that blog in like 09 or 10. And then, it's just organic poetry. The unique thing about it is it was written, all the poems featured on that blog was written off the cuff, meaning I didn't write them down on paper first or contemplate about the subject matter or, what I was going to title each piece. And that's really remarkable because they're so intricate and so detailed. A reader would, be under the impression that, that I was really thinking about what I want to write. But I swear to you, both hands up to God, like I didn't have a single thought in my head when I wrote any poem featured on that blog. But they're really creative. Another good thing is like it's really for everybody. Anybody from any walk of life can read it. My tagline for that blog is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. And when you read one of my poems, you will see that it lives right up to the tagline. And it's for everybody. I have about a dozen or so specifically for our community, but the bulk of them is just for like anybody. Like anybody can read that poetry and relate to it. They can like find a piece of themselves in a piece, guaranteed. So go check that out today. Hallzies Poetry Corner on blogger.com. The address is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. How you can support is when you visit share either the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. Also click that little heart-shaped like button. Leave me a comment in the comment section on Hallzies Poetry Corner. And then, of course, share them across all digital platforms. Whatever your favorite platform is, share either the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. That's it. That's all I got to promote right now. So join me this weekend, hopefully this Saturday or Sunday for sure. I'm shooting for Saturday, but this weekend, Sunday is a weekend, but I'm shooting for Saturday for a full episode of the Narrative Podcast. And then just keep your ears to the podcast streets for random weekday uploads of the Narrative Podcast. That's it, and that's all. Thank you all for listening. We're going to change this narrative, this false narrative about our people, and just keep on utilizing your platforms to share positive frames of reference about, our people and our culture, so we can change this narrative. I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to help me change the narrative by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen, the Narrative Podcast, signing off. And it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.